Hey guys, today we're going to be solving some quadratic equations, and we're going to do it by using our favorite F word, factoring. So first of all, to solve an equation, what does it mean to solve an equation? Well, it just means that we have an equation with a variable that we're going to find out what that variable equals, okay? So a very simple one we have here is if we have x plus 3 equals 7. So, depending how you learned it, you may subtract 3 from both sides, or you may just move the 3 over to the other side. Doesn't matter, it's the same thing. The bottom line is that we get 7 minus 3, which is 4. So x equals 4, and that is it. We have solved the equation. Okay? We can have more complex ones like this one, where we're dealing with we've got an x squared in there. But we're going to start the same way. We're going to get 2x squared equals 11 plus 7, which is just equal to 18. Okay, and then we say, well, let's divide that by 2 and divide that one by 2. Well, that will give me x squared equals 9. Now, before I actually solve that one, I haven't completely solved for it because I don't know what x is, but I'm going to jump ahead to the next part here, and we'll come back to that in just a second. So first of all, notice that the first one here, well, that was this guy, was a linear equation, and the second one, this one, was quadratic. Okay? There's only one way to solve a linear function. There's one answer. X is 4. X doesn't equal anything else. But some quadratic equations can be solved in two ways. It depends on the equation. So we've got x squared equals 9, which is where we left off on the last one. And so our thought bubble is telling us, well, we need a number that when it's multiplied by itself, it equals 9. Now the obvious one here is that x equals 3. And we did that by just square rooting 9, and we found that it was 3. But the trick here is that x could also equal negative 3, because negative 3 times negative 3 also equals 9. So when you get to a part where you have x squared equals a number, what you're going to do is you're going to say that x is equal to, and what we do is we write plus or minus the square root of that number. So in this case, we get plus or minus 3. So x is plus or minus 3, which just means x equals 3 or x equals negative 3. So there are two solutions in this case. All right? Unfortunately, it's not always that simple. Sometimes we're going to get a really complicated one like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to factor this. Now, before you factor it, what you want to do is you're going to want to get everything on the same side. You want this to equal 0, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take that 5 and we're going to move it over to the other side. So we get x squared plus 7x minus 25 minus 5 equals 0. And this is the key right here, is that it has to equal 0. If it doesn't equal 0, it's going to be very difficult to solve. Okay? So we move it all over, make it equal 0, and we get this. And what we're going to do, no surprise, since it's in the title, is we're going to factor this. Okay? So, first of all, we can do this off to the side. We say we need two numbers that multiply to negative 30, and they have to add to 7. I don't know why I use that green all the time. You can hardly see it. But anyway, so we write out our brackets like this. We put x in the front, and we say what two numbers are going to multiply to negative 30 and add to 7. Well, I'm getting 10 and negative 3. Whoops, I made a mistake there. Oh wow, that was a big eraser. Okay, x minus 3, there we go. All right, because 10 minus 3 equals 7, and 10 times negative 3 equals negative 30. So the trick here is we've got two numbers that when we multiply them by each other, it's going to equal 0. And the thing is, when you multiply two numbers and get 0, one of those two numbers has to be 0. So either this x plus 10 equals 0, or this x minus 3 equals 0. So we can, at this point, just branch it off, and we can write it as two separate equations. We say x plus 10 equals 0, and x minus 3 equals 0. So x equals negative 10, or x equals 3. And those are our two separate solutions. They're both correct. And to have a complete solution, we need to have both of those written there. So there we go. All right. So this next example is the same thing. We're going to find the roots, it says. And roots is just another word for answers here, another solution. So depending on the context, it could be called the zeros. It's just another word for the same thing. We're just solving for x. So for this one here, we're just going to set up our brackets. This one already equals 0, so we don't have to do anything to begin with. And we say what two numbers, I'm going to use blue this time so you can see it, multiply to 6 and add to 5. Okay. And, oh, sorry, it's to negative 5. That's good because my answer wouldn't have worked. Okay, so we're going to add to negative 5, multiply to positive 6. Okay? So, well, let's see. Well, we got negative 2 and negative 3. Negative 2 plus negative 3 is going to give you negative 5. And negative 2 times negative 3 is going to give you positive 6. So we're going to write negative 2. Negative 3. Okay? And from there we say, well then, x minus 2 equals 0, and negative 3 equals 0. So we get that x equals 2, and x equals 3. And so that's it. Okay? I want you to try the next couple on your own, and we'll take them up in class. And that is all there is to it. Okay? So until next time, go Sabres.